Hello and welcome to the Kuribros, a Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime recap podcast. I'm your host, Phoenix. Joining me, my co-host, a man who called me a dickhead for not wanting to do an intro for this whole episode we're doing, talking about the broader strokes of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monster series. It's Andy. How you doing, dickhead?
I don't think I called you a dickhead.
You absolutely
dickhead?
did. I locked down in my brain, I wasn't doing an intro now, but now I'll just save that specific exact one for you. Now you got me all frazzled. We started recording this intro 3 minutes ago. Leave this in.
No, we're not doing the whole intro.
No, not that. Leaving me saying it's 3 minutes.
Okay. Hi, what's up? We finished the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series for the most part, pretty much.
We have completed
basically
our coverage of Season 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters. We are not 100% done with the show because after this episode, we will be doing our coverage of Dark Side of Dimensions. But we are taking this episode to talk about our thoughts on all of the anime stuff, including Season 0 anime and also the manga.
Yeah, kind of going over like what our general thoughts are, what we liked, what we disliked, just kind of like reflecting on because we've kind of covered things as we've watched and read them and kind of immerse ourselves in this content that we vaguely remember from childhood and are kind of rediscovering now. Now we're kind of going to give our overall thoughts on how we feel after kind of watching the whole thing and kind of looking back and seeing if anything like changed, any feelings changed. And you guys can compare that to watching all the episodes and then like comparing every single little episode to this, so going back to this episode, then listening to another episode. You know what I mean? It'll be great. Fantastic. Awesome. Manic.
That is what they say about me on the internet.
Is that what they say about you on the internet?
I mean, they're commenting on my awesome bod. Which, speaking of awesome
which they've
bods,
never seen before.
Yep. Thought that just always exists in the back of my mind is when I was taking my college history class and learning about the I just going to say like leader. I don't want to say like warlord because I don't know if that's accurate or not, but it was from like I think it was from the time when like the Romans were trying to get into Britain and all that and spread into Europe. Anyway, there's just a guy whose name was Radbod.
General Radbod.
That sounds
Leader
like the
Radbod.
name. That sounds like a name they would have from like a '90s movie about like different like gangs in New York, or, like street gangs taking over. Like,
fuck, Radbod's here. We got to get out of here.
Yeah, it's Radbod and Matchstick and Chainsaw Face. They're all going to war.
Blazer.
Yeah, some Mad Max type
Laser.
shit.
Taser.
That's the one.
If anyone's a dodgeball fan, you'll love that reference. If not, you're probably young or old or just hate that comedy.
But we're not here to talk about Dodgeball and Underdog Story. We're here to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! So, let's do this in order. And
kind of start from the beginning.
Yeah, let's talk about Season 0. And what will be the manga and how that actually started. So you did the manga coverage, so you know way more about this than I do. So how's it feel to get interrupted all the time, huh?
Well, I'm very familiar because I do it to you all the time, so sorry.
Yeah, that's the bit. That's the joke I was doing about how you always do that to me.
I love it. I'm so sorry. I know I'm a dickhead, but you know you've survived 52 plus episodes with me, so you'll live. But I won't.
I will, but I'll just complain the whole time.
Okay, me too. So yeah, to get started, Season 0 kind of starts off with the whole, just kind of quick recap. It starts off with Yugi, a little meek boy who loves board games, card games, any type of game that isn't a sports athletic game, who has this puzzle that he's been trying to solve for about, I believe it was 8 years. I think it kind of depends on what the translation is, and is bullied a lot. Has some people who try to kind of man him up, but don't do it in the best way. That'd be Joey and Tristan. Joey and Tristan get ambushed by a bigger bully. Yugi tries to stop this bigger bully. Doesn't do very well because he's a meek little boy, as we've all been established. Decides to, puzzle his troubles away by putting the puzzle all together. Loses the last piece because Joey stole it earlier in the chapter and then threw it away. Joey feels bad because Yugi actually stood up for him. Saves that puzzle piece, gives it back to Grandpa, or just gives it back himself, or does whatever. Again, depending on the adaption. And Yugi finishes the puzzle, and Yami Yugi comes out, who we now know is a Tem. But I don't know if we want to call. Do we want to call him a Tem, or do we want to call him Yami Yugi?
We'll call him a Tem. We're talking about the whole series. We're just gonna acknowledge it.
Anyway, a Tem's here, and he is going to kill people.
If your first episode is the series overview of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, we're gonna talk about his name.
I guess we can't say spoilers anymore.
Yeah, we're done spoilers. Everything that could be.
I can't really spoil Dark Side Dimensions because I don't really remember it, even though we've seen it twice.
Even then, the only spoiler for Duel Monsters itself really is just like what his name is a Tem.
That's the biggest one, I guess.
There's nothing else that's really like any knowledge bombs waiting to be dropped. I guess Zork is actually evil Bakura, and it's not just another evil spirit. But even then, like, Zork is the evil Bakura, so like he's just the same guy with two different names.
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, he is just all the evil bad things that we've been dealing with. He's like an amalgamation of that, or like the source of all that evil. So it was good. It's good Yugi beat him at the end of the series.
Yeah, thank God the good guys won.
Yeah, thank God. I'm glad. I'm so relieved. But speaking of the good guys winning, Etem goes to the bully. It depends on the adaptation you choose, because Kazuki Takahashi decided to do kind of like because the bully wanted money, and he was like, oh, I'm going to take your greed, and you're going to take this big fat stack of 400,000 yen, and you're going to stab it, and you get the money that you stab, but don't stab your hand. And so they try to stab each other, or like to try to stab each other's hand for money, and then the guy tries to stab Etem, and Etem does penalty game. And basically, that kind of happens for quite a lot of chapters, because they're trying to get their groove in it, and Kazuki Takahashi decided he wanted to show a battle shonen through different types of games and trickery and whatever else. So a lot of things happen, like Etem sets a guy on fire for holding Taya hostage. There's a bomb at an amusement park, and that Etem has to do like a card kind of puzzle thing to like get out of. Again, Taya's in that. There's a lot of sexualizing Taya in the beginning in the manga, which is not cool. A lot of pervy jokes at the expense of Taya that I don't even really remember, kind of maybe looked over. Grandpa, they kind of like try to make Grandpa the token pervy old man, which I think they've kind of done in filler too, but like it's not really consistent with like the tone of his character too much. Like he's silly, but I don't remember him so pervy. Do you agree? Am I crazy?
It was definitely a thing they did more at the start of Yu-Gi-Oh! And then they switched more to being like, oh right, he used to be like a globe-trotting, treasure hunting gambler.
Game master.
Yeah, game master, gambler, guy who like loves games of chance and is like, I'm gonna pit my wits and my will against whatever's out there.
So yeah, it's a lot of that. Tristan's kind of like more of a background character. The episode or the chapter that focuses on Tristan, Yugi even like says he doesn't really even like Tristan too much, which is really funny that he sticks around, but he's always kind of like in the background in the manga. More like it's always Joey, Taya, and Yugi, and then Tristan's kind of just there. He's kind of like more of an expendable friend in the manga.
We'll talk more about our feelings on the individual characters at the end after we've covered all the details.
Yeah, it's very true. But I just wanted to kind of put that in there because I'm a hater.
My man.
So following kind of all that, they kind of strike gold in the middle, and we're going to talk more into this later, but they kind of strike gold with Seto Kaiba being introduced and having some like introducing the Duel Monsters card game. It only showed up for one random chapter, and then I think people wrote it and liked it a lot. So they did a whole other arc on it. I'm going to skip over that arc right now just so we can get to the Duel Monsters all together. And when they found out like all the card game stuff was really working, and they realized they're going to pivot to that, like doing battle shonen with card games, Kazuki Takahashi did one last final arc that introduced the main villain of the series, but will be mainly a background character for a majority of it, Bakura, or evil Bakura, but also they introduced Bakura, who is their friend, and is more established of a friend in the manga than is in the anime. They played basically Dungeons and Dice Monsters it's called Monster World RPG. Bakura kind of, let me tell you if you heard this one in the last couple episodes. Bakura takes their friends' souls, puts them in player bodies so they can play a board game, And then Etem is the one who controls everyone and makes sure to decide the fate because they're fighting the evil Master Zork, and that's the bad guy in the arc of that final before Duel Monsters arc. Obviously, the good guys win, and that is what it is. And then we go to the Death Tea. Do we want to kind of stop here and talk about our thoughts, or do we want to go over Death Tea and then like the beginning of Yu-Gi-Oh before we kind of jump into our overall thoughts about season 0?
I think we covered Death Tea now because it's sort of a collaborative event that we don't really get again. Because a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh is one person solving the problem at a time, or a bunch of people separately. Whereas Death Tea, we got to see like people working together more so.
Yeah, like literally a lot of what the beginning of Yu-Gi-Oh is kind of throwing things at the wall and seeing what's sticking. And also Etem just killing a lot of guys in different various ways, or making them go insane.
Some of them deserved it.
Some of them did deserve it. There's no lie
One
there.
One guy was an escaped murderer, right?
Yeah, that's the one that Etem sets on fire.
On the other hand, some people were just guys who were dicks who had yo-yos.
Well, that's a little bit on Joey, because I think Joey killed a guy with a yo-yo. That's on him.
I think if you manage to kill someone with a yo-yo, you get a pass because who thought it was possible?
I know. It's not a murder weapon. It's just a toy. What do you think?
I think if you're the first person to do something, it's not a crime yet.
Not yet.
Nope.
You didn't know. There's no law yet.
Yeah, the rule's just right.
But so yeah, there's like a lot of that's like individual stuff, but then we kind of get the first arc that really kind of gets the series going in Death Tea, which brings back Kaiba and has him kind of getting mad because in his chapter with at like fighting Etem and Duel Monsters, Etem beats him or almost beats him, but he runs away. I think he beats him in the manga, but I think he runs away in the anime. Then they have the Death Tea arc, which kind of coincides with the first episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! But in this arc, it has Kaiba kidnap Grandpa, take the blue eyes, rip that up, says, go fight in my death castle, which is called Death Tea. The gang, all together, being Yugi, Joey, Taya, and Tristan, and there's a joke baby cousin for Tristan that is kind of pervy and also just does a lot of crude gag humor. Not very well done, but whatever. And they go through several obstacles in different games. Like there's like laser tag, and they're fighting like trained mercenaries against it. There was some sort of death serial killer that they had to fight against. There was some sort of puzzle where they thought Tristan died, which was like, oh, thank God. Yugi fights Mokuba again in the same, I think, capsule monster-esque battle game that he tried to cheat on with him chapters ago, and it didn't work. And Kaiba almost makes his brother go insane. And then we get into what kind of is covered in the first episode, which is Yugi dueling Kaiba overwhelming Etem getting Exodia obliterate, evil Kaiba gets penalty gamed, and we move into the series proper after that for the most part. So while I covered all that, do you want to start giving your overall thoughts on how you feel about it, kind of looking back on it now, and how you feel how that kind of entered in the series and whatnot?
I think that Season 0 does a really good job of setting up what Yu-Gi-Oh! Would become. It is kind of a bummer that it lost the horror elements, but that did make it good, probably easier sell to get on, like, just syndication for, international audiences. Like, oh, here's this horror anime where a bunch of people get killed off by this ancient spirit that possesses a school kid. Is a bit harder of a sell for Saturday morning cartoons than here's the card game.
Yeah, exactly. I was actually rereading the first chapter before we got on the recording just to kind of like get a feel of how things started after like kind of getting back to reading the whole thing. And it feels very just like there's an idea there, and I don't know how much, like how, like there's like I have ideas and I have ways to kind of stick it, but I'm not fully sure how to go about it yet. It just seems like they were just kind of trying to see what worked well enough to kind of make it into a series. But, that's where I think Takahashi was really talented, where he kind of made it seem like a cohesive story enough to kind of string it along week by week and figure out what worked enough to kind of like expand on the story in the proper way.
And also there were the things that do carry forward from season 0, like Bakura and Zork. There's Kaiba being like the closest thing to an equivalent of like the card game opponent to Yugi, which goes forward. There's a bunch of stuff that gets mentioned in other seasons about like stuff that happened during season 0 as like callbacks. Like they talk about how Yugi and Joey became friends with him stealing the piece of the puzzle. Other things like how like Taya and everything she was unfortunately subjected to as being a female character in anime. As much as we dunk on him, Joey and Tristan, like them being like the duo who will like throw themselves physically in the way of whatever's in the way is being like a consistent thing they do together. Although I am glad they dropped the bit that Tristan had for a character of being like a weird, like, clean freak.
Also, well, he was like the janitor in the anime, which is really they tried to make Tristan like a gag character more, and it just didn't work because he just didn't have that kind of personality.
Also, characters that didn't work. Miyu.
See, that's the thing. Oh, was it Miku, not Miyu? I don't remember.
I don't remember. I'm going to look it up while you talk.
I don't remember either. So the thing is like, she was just a one-off character for Tristan, so they could introduce Tristan and have that whole like, oh, I have a crush on someone, and try to kind of see if that character would work. She was just a token second girl character for the main cast because they probably
wrong.
Needed like, well,
Miho.
Oh yeah, it was Miho. We had a whole episode about her, and then we completely forgot. That was 51 plus episodes ago.
Yeah.
So she wasn't even like, they just kind of shoved her in the anime just to shove her in, and it obviously didn't work because they didn't really give her much to do. But you know, it does work in the sense of like, there's pieces to work with later, kind of like in a little bit like an Akira Toriyama kind of strategy where like, I'll plant these pieces now, maybe I can use them later. And boy howdy does he. We also meet Shoddy. We also do meet Shoddy. We also get some
I did
information
really
about
like the
the
Shoddy
items.
episodes with him and his challenges that he had set for Yugi to overcome.
Yeah, like it really, maybe it's because we know what the story was about before we went into that, but like the more interesting stuff was definitely the things that kind of were the foundation of the story, like the shadow games, the Egyptian millennium mysticism card games, like the things that kind of make the battles interesting and the story a little more. You're learning more about Etem. You're learning that there is something going on here, and there's more to this than he does.
Yeah, and all these become mainstays of every Yu-Gi-Oh series, where there's pretty much always there's like some connection to something from the past. There's a positive outlook on the world protagonist who's like exceptionally skilled but still like stay very positive. There's the hyper ego rival who's like of equivalent skill.
Yeah.
There's also the squad of people who's like around the main character. Usually like a couple of them can duel, but not all of them.
Yeah, it's very it's like a good foundation to everything.
And they would use it again and again and again and again for every series with varying degrees of success.
Yeah, well, it's all about the characters. I think if you're going to use that formula, you have to make the interesting characters. I think sometimes that did work, and sometimes it didn't.
Yeah.
Oh well.
So as far as it being season 0, laying the groundwork, exceptional job.
Yeah, I think it's pretty fun. I think that it falls flat in its face sometimes where it's not good. Not like good, but like it's not like, I don't know, like there's some chapters that are kind of like whatever, I don't really care.
Yeah,
and
not everything
really mean much to me.
Is character development. Some of it is just we're dealing with a bastard.
Yeah, villain of the week, bad guy of the week.
Yeah, like the first one, like
when
the
they kind of
capsule guy who like had a crush on Miho and wanted to get like a super rare one. He's like, oh, if I give her this super rare capsule, she'll be my girlfriend. And like she doesn't care at all, so he turns into a freak about it. And then Etem was like, well, I have to kill this guy.
There was like a dragon egg game or something that just really didn't do anything for anyone. There was a psychic that was just a pervert who chloroformed Taya.
Yeah,
to try and kidnap her.
There was also that like trifecta of witches who wanted to abduct Yugi, like just little Yugi.
There was a game. There was like a couple times where Yugi actually shined as like his own character and was like trying to. You could see like glimpses of him like starting to stand up for himself a little bit, which is really cool to see, especially because he wasn't aware of Atem for most of the time, and he knew like he had the puzzle. But overall, I think season 0 is an interesting, like, as far as the anime goes, it's not that fantastic. I think you can skip a lot of it, and I think kind of the same with the manga. But like, I think reading the manga, you at least kind of understand where everything's kind of coming from, and you get kind of the original vision of Takahashi's like horror, kind of a little bit. It's definitely a little darker, a little more violent than the animes, but that's kind of just TV being TV, and I kind of like that there's that little bit of distinction in the manga between the anime.
Well said. Do we want to move on to season 1?
Yeah, I'll let you take that one since I just did the other one.
All right. Moving on to Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime Season 1. It opens up very similarly to how the Death Tea game ended with... we get the introduction of the main cast, Yugi, Joey, Taya, Tristan, all in school. Kaiba's there also for some reason because he was a student for half a minute in Season 0. And after overhearing the Friendship Squad talk about some super rare card his grandfather has, they go back to Grandpa Moto's game shop. He shows them the blue eyes he has, which is older than he is. And Kaiba then busts in and says, "Hey, man, I want that card." And Grandpa's like, "Nah, I'm not selling it." Hijinks ensue in the form of elderly abuse, wherein Kaiba comes back with the Goon Squad, beats up and robs Grandpa, and abducts him, takes him back to his Kaiba Corp tower, challenges him to a duel, beats Grandpa, because Grandpa cares more about fun than being a good duelist. Good for him. Yugi goes to go save his grandpa with his friends. They all draw a smiley face on their hands. Very iconic scene. Yugi duels Kaiba while Grandpa is taken to the hospital on account of him being old and beaten. And we get introduced to Atem taking over in dueling through the Millennium Puzzle. He unleashes the powerful Exodia for the first and only time he'll ever do so. Exodia obliterate. Cue the meme. And this sets the tone for what would be the events of Season 1, wherein Kaiba had been a dueling champion, and word gets out that he had lost to someone who no one anyone ever heard of, that being Yugi. This draws the attention of one Maximilian Pegasus, or Pegasus J. Crawford, depending on your dub, who is the creator of Duel Monsters, the game that we all know and love and is the basis for every season other than 0 of all series of Yu-Gi-Oh! And he sends a videotape. Remember videotapes? He sends a videotape to Yugi challenging him and says, "Hey, duel me or something crazy will happen." They duel, and because Yugi is unable to beat Pegasus within the time limit, Pegasus takes this as a win, abducts Grandpa's soul through the videotape somehow, and says, "Hey, if you want your grandpa's soul back, come to my murder mystery island and beat me there for him. There won't be a time limit." This all sets the backdrop for getting Yugi involved in what is also a part card game tournament, part corporate takeover, where after having lost to Yugi, Kaiba went into some manic spiral and just wasn't focusing on the company he was running. So Pegasus' company, Industrial Illusions, was doing a hostile takeover, also doing just a hostile abduction as he kidnaps Mokuba, Kaiba's little brother. So now Yugi and Kaiba both have motivations for going. Joey, wanting to be the good friend that he is, goes with Yugi by trying to just get on the boat with him to go to the murdery mystery island in sovereign waters, so murder is legal there. Yugi shares some of the items that he needs to get in the form of star chips, which were included with the videotape that he was sent, I believe. Or did that come later?
No, he got the chips with the glove and the videotape.
Would have been awkward if Pegasus lost that duel then, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it wouldn't have really mattered. He's like a rich person, so it's like, okay, whatever. He lost. He doesn't need it anyway.
Yeah.
I think the whole scheme would have just fallen apart then, wouldn't it have?
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway.
Fucked.
They get on a cruise ship to go to the island. We meet a whole cast of weirdos: Rex Raptor, My Valentine, Weevil Underwood. We get an interaction wherein Weevil Underwood makes his role known as just being a little dick by throwing Yugi's Exodia cards overboard. Joey jumps in the water to save the cards, which affirms for us the friendship and bond between Yugi and Joey, which how far Joey's willing to go for his bud. Also, Taya and Tristan are also there. They just sneak on board normal style.
Yeah, Tristan has a big old tan trench coat.
Yeah,
jacket?
like Columbo.
For some reason.
Yeah. Their outfits in season 1 are weird. Except for Yugi. That's the same outfit he always has.
I kind of don't hate Joey's outfit.
No, I like the green jacket.
It's basic, but
Yeah, I do like his future fits better.
yeah, I like Taya's future fits better too.
Yeah.
Not her best. It doesn't really matter.
They get to the island and a battle royale term is established where it's a tournament where you wager the star chips that they had gotten, and once you get 10, you're allowed to enter the finals. There are various duels wherein Yugi takes down Weevil, Mako Tsunami, who's actually just a standard, normal, cool dude.
Yeah, it's a cool guy.
He takes down someone who is impersonating Kaiba, saying that Kaiba, he's pretending that Kaiba, like, killed himself after, like, having lost to Yugi.
Yeah, and it's a puppet master in the manga that's even more creepy than what they do in the anime.
It is some freak stuff.
It's utterly haunting and would never have passed on a TV show. Also,
No.
I think it would have been just weird in the setting. So, like, just to pile something on, like, they're dueling in duel boxes in the manga. In the anime, they duel in those giant arena things, so it just would not have worked. So they decided to do a toad-looking guy.
Yeah. He duels some sort of criminal killer. Also, a lot of the people that are dueling here are other duelists. But at nighttime, Pegasus thought it'd be fun to just unleash freaks on the island in the form of his player killers. So there's one of those that tries to burn Yugi alive after he loses to him in a duel. There's the racially insensitive Paradox Brothers.
Oh, man. There's Bandit Keith.
Bandit
and
Keith.
Bones.
Yep. There's...
But they're not player killers.
No, and Bones is, not really a threat.
Well, I guess, yeah, he's not really a threat.
Not the same way someone like Panic is.
No, exactly. He was kind of being manipulated by Bandit Keith. He was like, "Here's this deck. You use it, you'll win." So it's not really Bones doing it.
Yeah. But Bones is one of the people that Joey faces off against, as we also get Joey's more character growth of becoming a competent duelist. He had also been trained by Grandpa, which I think is a fun thing to bring up as more of just like not him learning alongside Yugi, but like them both having like gotten started learning from how to do duel monsters from the same guy, but then like Joey getting more hands-on learning from it by not being a innately as good of a duelist as Yugi. And also it gives Grandpa something cool to do.
I think in the manga they skip over that, and Yugi's the one who teaches Joey how to do duel monsters. I think that's how I'm pretty sure that's how they do it. I don't think they start him off as a dueling training, like that whole training montage where like Grandpa's like working him to death. I'm pretty sure that's anime only, if I remember correctly.
Joey faces off against My Valentine, faces off against Rex Raptor, who is like Weevil, but not nearly as much of a dick, but still kind of dickish.
And he likes dinosaurs.
And he likes dinosaurs, as mentioned by the name, Rex Raptor. He also faces off against Bones, like Andy had said. He gets confident and tries to face off against Kaiba, and gets absolutely dunked on, showing that there's still a lot of progress for him to have. He and Yugi actually work together to defeat the Paradox Brothers, which is a really cool moment of showing something we love in the show called the Yu-Jo friendship.
Woo!
But before everyone can enter the finals, Kaiba makes his direct challenge to Yugi after learning that he also, for some reason, has to make 10 starships to get in.
For some odd reason.
Challenges Yugi to a duel on top of the castle, so somehow they got on the roof, but not inside the castle, where the finals are supposed to take place. Kaiba's gonna lose, and he threatens to commit suicide by duel monster unless Yugi just gives up. Atem, having taken over for the dueling as he always does, was going to go ahead with it, but Yugi wrests control and stops him, which is the first real time of Yugi and Atem not agreeing with something, and them like trying to think of the right words, like taking control, not being on the same page as each other, and for a while, Yugi being, like, afraid of what this means to have this, like, other personality, other side of himself that he thinks is a threat to other people, which is accurate. He was absolutely going to kill that guy.
It's very much played up more in the anime that, like, Yugi and Atem are, like, out of sync with each other. They kind of reconcile with that more in the manga very quickly.
Yeah. Friendship stuff happens. There's a life lesson, I guess, that's conveyed to everyone, mostly Yugi, through Taya and Mai dueling for some reason.
Because the girls have to fight.
But then we get into the tournament. We get the finals, which is just Yugi, Joey, Bandit Keith, and Mai. We get to see Joey's growth come to a head when he takes on Bandit Keith and uses all the stuff that he has learned, his fondness for luck-based strategies, but also like understanding his opponents better than they think that he does to get the advantage and using what they have against them. With him taking advantage of Bandit Keith's cards, his time machine and metal morph stuff, taking his stuff and using it to get his own win. We get Mai versus Yugi, wherein helping to, I guess, teach some form of humility to Yugi, where Atem had been losing the duel because he was fully focused on thinking he was just going to get into the finals and take on Pegasus, whereas Mai is there to remind him that, hey, I'm also a skilled opponent and you're losing because you're not taking me seriously and you're not thinking about right now. And afterwards, we get the anime-only Yugi versus Joey duel, which did not happen in the manga. In the manga, they just accept that Yugi is going to go on to duel Pegasus and Joey will get the prize money for winning the tournament. Because I did mention this before, Joey has a sister who needs a medical operation, and that's why he wants to come to this to get the prize money and pay for it.
Yeah, that's the big motivation of it, but he also does want to be a strong duelist. He has fallen in love with this game just like Yugi has.
Yeah, but they have a very touching moment where they're all busting out their best moves, showing their knowledge of each other as duelists and honorable opponents, culminating in Yugi defeating Joey, and then moving on to the final of Yugi versus Pegasus. And I hadn't mentioned this before, but we had learned that Pegasus also has a Millennium item in the form of the Millennium Eye. And while he and Yugi go on their dueling, there's some stuff going on in the background, because there's more stuff I forgot to mention, because Bakura had also shown up on the island. He had some hijinks with the gang, which is when we were introduced in Season 1 to the other half that he has in his Millennium Rings evil side, which had tried to just kill them all in the woods.
Yeah, they kind of try to do what the arc we were talking about in the last season, but they do it dual monster style. Yugi's like Dark Magician, Teia's like Magician of Faith. I think Joey's Swordsman of Landstar, and
Flame
Tristan
Swordsman.
is a what did I say? Swordsman of Landstar.
Yep.
I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah, Flame Swordsman. I remember the swordsman part, and then Tristan was some. What the fuck was he? Some common card that's like 900 attack points. Like
some soldier.
Not science soldier. Some sort of soldier thing. It was so stupid. Just like he was. Fuck him.
Yeah. And we also learned that much more so than Yugi and Atem, Bakura and his dark side are in opposition to each other, where it's Bakura's good half that helps them get the win by turning against his evil.
Yep.
They all kind of
Kinda
think
like
that
how
the
it was,
evil
yeah.
is dealt with after that, but during the tournament, we see that the evil Bakura is taking over and is creeping around the castle looking for stuff. And don't actually remember if I mentioned this. He has a Millennium item, the Millennium Ring.
Yeah, that's where his evil house comes in.
Yeah, that's where the evil is. It's in the ring.
Yeah.
Take that.
Did you not listen to the last 51 episodes, idiots?
Oh yeah. Keep doing this all terribly out of order. We're not going back though. Kaiba had dueled Pegasus, and Pegasus was originally going to have Mokuba duel in his place and just follow his instructions. And because Kaiba wanted to like challenge Pegasus using his new prototype dual disc system, but he doesn't want to hurt Mokuba, so he just duels normal style. We saw that Pegasus duels using Toon monsters, which are his favorite because Pegasus loves cartoons, as we all do. But he had beaten Kaiba, stolen his soul, and so that had raised the stakes where now if Yugi beats Pegasus, he gets to free Grandpa and Kaiba and Mokuba. So while they are dueling, the other people are going around, just looking through the dungeons, trying to get the bodies of the people whose souls have been lost, that being Mokuba and Kaiba. I think Kaiba's just like slumped in the corner for the most part. I don't think they threw him in the dungeon too.
I think they actually did throw him in the dungeon.
Oh, that's crazy.
Well, he's a wily one. He might actually get up.
Yeah, but the people creeping around looking for the bodies are Tristan and Bakura, the evil Bakura, who we learn is super evil when he manifests some real duel monsters and just kills Pegasus's security force.
Yeah, he's a little fucked up.
Yeah. That being said, those guys did have guns, or finger guns, and so they had to die.
I think that was more against Kaiba when he was doing all the hacker man shit.
No, they definitely had guns in there too. I remember them trying to shoot Man-Eater Bug.
Oh my fucking god! The Forkhead stuff ruined me.
Yeah, but anyway, after people are manslaughtered, Tristan takes the Millennium Ring and yeets it into the woods, and he thinks, well, That's handled. We'll never have to deal with evil Bakura ever again.
Tristan fucking up.
In the final duel, Yugi and Pegasus, Yugi gets the upper hand, destroying Pegasus's toon world and destroying all of his toons. Pegasus goes into a crazy manic episode and invokes the shadow games of old using his Millennium Eye, starts playing a lot more freaky, creepy monsters, and creates a barrier that the rest of the spectators cannot look into to see the duel. Through the power of friendship and intelligent use of the Millennium Item, Yugi is able to do a mind shuffle with Atem, and also then protect his mind from being read by Pegasus's Millennium Eye, and ends up getting the win with the cooler version of Dark Magician, the Magician of Black Chaos.
Yeah, and Yugi kind of actually has to like bow out at one point because the shadow game's so intense for him that Atem has to be there. And it does kind of like pose a problem for a minute, but at that point, Atem like it's all set up for him to get the win anyway.
Yeah. After having won, Pegasus is missing. They go looking around the castle, but before that, Bakura finds Pegasus in his secret study, where he has a picture of his deceased wife Cecilia. And we learn that Pegasus's motivation for all this was because he wanted to use the powers of the Millennium Items to bring her back to life, because she died at an early age, which is a weird thing to say because Pegasus is like 23.
She probably died when she was like 19.
That is pretty early.
Or younger.
It's also wild to
That's
keep
pretty
thinking
early.
that a 23-year-old man is the antagonist of all this stuff.
Well, at least at the beginning.
Yes. Well, don't worry. We'll get younger antagonists as it goes on.
Oh God, we do.
Uh-huh.
And older at
And
one
older.
point. Very old. Very old. Very old.
Crazy old.
Super old.
Anyway, Evil Bakura then kills Pegasus in some versions and takes his Millennium Eye. In other versions, he just scars him by, again, taking his eye.
Yeah, it is just he kills him. He's dead.
Yeah.
He's dead in that manga. He's gone forever. They even do like a spin-off manga about it.
Despite having been horribly mangled by Evil Bakura, Pegasus still has his staff give out the prize money to Yugi, who then passes on to Joey, and Yugi is awarded with the title King of Games, or World Duel Champion, one of the two. I think King of Games comes later.
I think it's King. I think it's King of Games actually.
I thought King of Games
sure
came
it
after
is.
Battle City. Regardless,
No,
he's the
that's
best
just like affirmed
around.
it.
Nothing's ever going to bring him down.
No one's ever gonna bring him down, but they'll try. They will damn try.
They will definitely try. They do try, though.
Do we want to just lightly go over the other stuff before, or do we want to just talk about it now? I love that we just keep asking.
What stuff are you talking about?
Like Dungeon Dice Monsters, the five, the big
I mean, that's not
five
that
arc.
much. I can recap that pretty quickly.
Rebecca. All right, go ahead. Go ahead. Go
yeah.
ahead. Go ahead.
After getting back to Japan from Duelist Kingdom, there is a showdown between Yugi and a girl from America named Rebecca. We learn that Rebecca is the granddaughter of a close friend of Grandpa's and Professor Hawkins. And she believes that Grandpa had stolen the Blue Eyes White Dragon, when in actuality he had won it in a duel between himself and Professor Hawkins. She duels Yugi. Yugi lets her win, and now a transgenerational friendship is forged between their families as a result. Yay.
Also filler.
It's filler. Dungeon Dice Monsters happens when we learn about...
I think it's a big five arc first. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. With the whole stuff with Kaiba Company Corporation having been hostile takeovered, we learned that there was a board of 5 people who were inside jobbing it, betraying Kaiba. They are the Big Five. They have names. No one cares what they are.
Oh, yeah, they do have names.
Yeah. Kaiba kicks them out of his company when he gets it back, of course, because they tried to hostile takeover and have him and his brother killed.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
But also kind of dumb.
Yeah. But they're like, no, we're super sorry about that. Don't fire us from our cushy corporate jobs. And in fact, how about we show you this cool thing we did with this virtual reality game? And Kaiba says, all right, I'll take a look at it, but if it sucks, then I'm going to corporate fire you guys. And he gets pulled into the Matrix from it, and he enters into a virtual world. Mokuba sees his brother is stuck, goes to Yugi to get help. Yugi, Joey, Taya, Tristan, they all go into the virtual world. Also, they meet Mayan there. Virtual hijinks ensue, a lot of hitting the same beats that happened in Duelist Kingdom, but a lot shorter happened because it's like 3 episodes. They face the Big Five, who use the 5-headed dragon. Heroes unite, defeat them. Yay.
Yay.
And then Dungeon Dice Monsters, wherein a new student shows up at the school, Duke Devlin or Otogi, depending on your version. He had been in talks with Pegasus about getting a game released because he is a game developer, has his own game shop, but he has not been able to get in contact with Pegasus ever since Duelist Kingdom ended. He blames Yugi on account of Yugi defeated Pegasus, and that's the last anyone ever heard of him because, he died shortly thereafter, but that's not related to anything Yugi did. He challenges Yugi for some stuff. He fights Joey first. Joey loses. Joey is shamed. Yugi faces him afterwards to save his buddy. Also, there's some stuff in the manga where it's actually Duke's dad who is like turbo evil.
Yeah, like it's kind of he was like, I think, doing like game stuff with her Yugi's grandfather, has this cursed game board, tries to play it, gets fucked up, gets like disfigured via face and has to be hidden but via like a mascot clown, and uses Duke Devlin as like a catalyst for his revenge. And in the manga, it's actually in the anime it's Etem going against Duke Devlin, but it's Yugi in the actual manga, which is really cool.
Yeah, but Duke is defeated. He becomes a friend, as do most of the people that Yugi defeats. And yay, new ally acquired.
Yeah, and it kind of half of what happens in the manga for that Duke Devlin stuff kind of half happens in season 2 for it, but we'll kind of I'll touch upon that when I talk about season 2. But we'll kind of talk about season 1 first. Do you want me to go first?
I'll just do mine real quick because I've been talking this whole time, just going to fish it. I think season 1's really cool. I like that it did introducing a bunch of other characters to oppose the protagonist in the squad who will make more appearances later. I like seeing My Valentine because I'm super normal about her. I think Pegasus is a really fun villain, although didn't really talk much about his personality as he's being sort of like a foppish, silly, not taking anything seriously antagonist. Like a lot of over-the-top reactions to things like going, oh no. Just having a lot of fun seeing that sort of character be the villain. What do you think?
I think this is where the series really starts picking up as story-wise. I think once they figured out they could kind of use this card game mechanic as like the catalyst for battles, and like sticking with that made the story go along a lot smoother and a lot less like sticking like just whatever will work at any point. A lot of the characters they add in this arc are really good, like you said. Mai is a great addition. I think Weevil and Rex are good beginning characters, like for facing off against, especially like Yugi facing off Weevil as the first challenge of the Duelist Kingdom tournament. Like it was a very interesting duel and a very fun one to kind of understand all the mechanics of the game. Pegasus is one of the best villains in the series as far as like antagonist goes, mainly for all the reasons you said. I do really like his cartoony kind of, it's like very campish, but it's so kind of like whimsical. It's very fun, but like it when like that kind of like he like has that kind of like tone shift where it's like a little more deranged. You know what I mean? Where it's like his like demeanor changes to more like scary, but like he still has that kind of smile on him. Not like jokery, but like kind of just like, oh, like he's insane. Like, oh, he's fucked.
Yeah, like a lot of his card effects are weirder than anything else we'd seen before, but it's sort of, and also I think like we see like some horror stuff, like his toon monsters like doing like stuff that should be body horror, like contorting themselves or eating other monsters and stuff like that, which should be horrifying, but through the lens of their cartoons does not appear as such. But after they're destroyed and he uses the more disturbing monsters, now it's like all fully apparently like, oh, he's been twisted this whole time. It's just like the toons are a distraction.
Yeah, like the decks really kind of like show off the personality of the duelist in this, and I think that's a good way to kind of like make sure everyone kind of visually and also verbally understands their personalities and can kind of like understand the jibe of their vibe. But overall, like that, like all of that Duelist Kingdom stuff was really fun. I enjoy, as I look back on it, seeing like kind of like changing, like throwing to the wall what sticks as far as card games goes, and now just throwing anything to the wall and seeing what sticks to the card effects, and just like, well, whatever. I'm just gonna play a card that doesn't make any sense and helps me win the duel. As far as like the other stuff goes, I wasn't necessarily a fan of the Rebecca episodes, but that's mainly dub reasons more than I think story reasons. Big Five arc was whatever. I think it's very forgettable. I don't really remember much from it after only seeing it like 2 years ago. And then the Duke Devlin arc is actually one of my favorite arcs in the series, as far as like it kind of switching things up a little bit. And I like Duke Devlin as a character. I think as far as the manga is concerned, I think he's even better in that. And the whole kind of like having a backstory with him kind of being like kind of manipulated by his dad, but him kind of realizing like like it's nice having like gamers, like not just necessarily like duelists, but like gamers, like with Duke and Bakura. So it's that kind of a breath of fresh air, and it's also a breath of fresh air to watch Yugi in the manga be the one to take Duke on and show he's actually the game master in all of this, and it doesn't have to necessarily be a Tem. So that's fun, and I think kind of a missed opportunity on the anime's part, but I get it. They have to understand that. I understand, like, they have to sell the episodes or whatever, you know, like they have to make sure people watch them, and at times the cool one, whatever. But overall, all that stuff's fun. Season 1 was a joy to cover with you. And I look back on that season pretty fondly, even if it was like kind of where we were trying to get our kind of legs into podcasting and kind of understand like what we want to do as a series.
Look at us all learning together. Them making peaked fiction back in the early 2000s. Us making so-so podcasting in the early 2020s.
That's so good. But so we'll kind of like move on now. We go into season 2, and I'll kind of cover that because going back into season 1 going into season 2, the manga has a part where after the Dungeon Dice Monsters things happen and Yugi's trying to get his... Oh, so they stole the puzzle, Duke and Duke's dad. They stole the puzzle. After Yugi wins, Duke's dad goes like crazy and is like, oh, like we're still gonna fuck around and shit. He goes insane, knocks some candles over, the whole store catches on fire. Yugi's trying to get the Millennium Puzzle out of like where they like locked it or chained it, and Tristan and Joey have to come in and save Yugi, which happens as in the first episode or 2 of the season 2. But the difference is Yugi gets duped into giving his Millennium Puzzle to some strange psychic man on the street as they're going to fucking school.
That's something I just realized now I forgot to mention. Bandit Keith has motivation in season 1 because he wants revenge on Pegasus for embarrassing him in a tournament. In the manga, Pegasus makes Bandit Keith shoot himself in the head by turning his hand into a gun.
Yeah, so it's either like a penalty game kind of shadow game suicide, or like he actually turned his finger into a gun and shot him.
In the anime, though, he just like presses a button and dumps Bandit Keith into the ocean.
Yeah, after he angrily points at him for some reason. I don't know why.
That's crazy. You shouldn't do that. That's dangerous.
Yeah, it's really rude. You could poke an eye out. Maybe the Millennium Eye. Maybe that's why he was so scared.
Oh.
But so, reason Phoenix is bringing that up is because if you don't remember, the guy who took it was Bandit Keith. But it's not really Bandit Keith because he seems a little fucky right now, and it seems like there's someone kind of pulling the strings somewhere else. I wonder what that's all about.
No, strings comes later.
Oh. Either way, so Yugi beats crazy Bandit Keith. Bandit Keith like goes crazy and is like fighting whoever is mind controlling him. Things get set on fire. Then the whole thing ensues of like Yugi trying to get the puzzle before the place burns it down, and Joey and Tristan save Yugi, and they like admire his like courage for trying to get the puzzle and everything and be reunited with Etem. And at this point, Etem and Yugi are fully like in sync with each other. There's a episode where Etem and Taya go on like a date, and like Etem tries to kind of like figure himself out. They fight some guy named Johnny Two Steps or whatever.
It's just Johnny Steps.
And Johnny Steps, whatever.
His personality trait is he hates women.
And likes to dance. That doesn't happen in the manga. Taya just kicks his ass in Dance Dance Revolution. She just it's established, yeah, she's a dancer. They end up, well, I guess there's kind of two things I could say here. So before this, I'm kind of misplacing steps like you are. So it is announced that there are going to be new ancient Egyptian artifacts going to the Domino City Museum. And as Kaiba's watching the news in his, big CEO office, a woman named Ishizu comes out, and we notice she has a Millennium Man of her own. And she kind of indirectly talks to Kaiba and says, "Come to the museum. I have something for you." And this is where we learn Kaiba has a bigger role in all of this, as he is a descendant of an ancient priest that was serving the pharaoh and also, for some reason, rebelled against him. And we'll wonder why a little later.
I wouldn't say descendant, more reincarnation.
It doesn't really matter.
He looks exactly like a dude who was alive 3,000 to 5,000 years ago.
Exactly. And faced off against the pharaoh with a blue eyes white dragon against a dark magician, which you could see in the ancient tabs.
Also, Kaiba has the normal reaction of, how dare someone else have a blue eyes white dragon ever?
We get even stronger cards introduced as we learn about the 3 Egyptian god cards, and that they are the ultimate power of duel monsters, and that they have been created into cards that Ishizu has one, an obelisk, and she gives it to Kaiba, believing that she will use it for great reasons and not psychotic reasons, like a man who is too into a children's card game like Kaiba. Kaiba has the power go to his head. He decides he will help Ishizu as she's trying to look for her brother, and these shadow, what are they? They're called like shadow ghouls in I think the what are they called in the sub and the manga? I forget what they're called. Oh, rare hunters. That's what they're called.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more fun to call them ghouls.
Yeah, but they basically take people's rare cards. They counterfeit rare cards. They basically do all the most underhanded shit as far as duel monsters is concerned. And her brother is a part of it. Who we find out is the guy who is taking over Bandit's mind, but we'll find that out a little later. Kaiba decides to orchestrate a tournament called the Battle City Tournament, where he'll try and weed out all these bad guys and also try and get Yugi to duel him again in some way, shape, or form. Especially because now he has this super big, fucking stupid, awesome card in Obelisk the Tormentor. He makes new duel discs. They look super cool, and they will be here forever in some way, shape, or form. But also kind of here forever in the sense of people love that shit. I think people love that duel disc.
Oh,
the
yeah,
design of that duel
so
disc.
cool.
So cool. So cool. So, obviously Yuki's invited, Mai's invited, Joey's not invited. But Joey tries to invite himself. A rare hunter is running one of the registration shops, sees that Joey has a a red eyes black dragon that he took from he won from Rex Raptor back in Duelist Kingdom, and is his most favorite, most powerful card. Guy cheats the system to make it seem like Joey was invited to the tournament. Joey gets his duel disc. He's all happy about it. He's like, great, cool. I can be in the tournament. Gets jumped by ghouls. One ghoul has 3 copies of Exodia in his deck, or 3 sets. Three sets?
Yeah.
3 sets of Exodia in his deck? Yeah, 3 sets of Exodia in his deck. And absolutely wipes the floor with Joey with them. Takes his red eyes black dragon and also, Serenity's supposed to be getting her eye surgery. She was scared. Joey was trying to get to the hospital beforehand, so he kind of failed in the big brotherly duty of that. But, he picks himself off the ground and says, I'll fucking kill this guy again in the tournament. Tournament starts. Etem comes out because he's the duel man. Joey runs into the ghoul that stole his red eyes. Yugi's like, I'm the hero of this story, so he duels him. Wins the duel because Yugi's Yugi or Etem's Etem. I think does some fuckery in it. That's kind of crazy. Joey's kind of like, no, you keep the red eyes because you won it. I'll become a good duelist in this tournament by myself, and we'll reconvene when we're in the finals, and I'll show you how good of a duelist I am at some point during this tournament. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. Kind of does, but not in the way that he hoped in the tournament. Both of our duelist protagonists go off to duel different types of people. Etem goes off to duel a lot of rare hunters. I don't think Etem ever duels anyone regular the entire time.
No, not at all.
No, at all.
There are 2 different plots happening here.
There are 2 different stories, but which is what it's good for, those kinds of characters. They're very, it's distinct plots, distinct characters have distinct arcs. Etem's arc is learning more about his ancient past and dueling people and finding out who these fuckeries are and who Merrick is and all this stuff, he goes on to face a magician that also has a dark magician that looks evilly different from the one he has, who is obsessed with, bringing back a girl that shunned him because he had a fucked up accident and his face is all fucked up. Then goes to Strings, who you mentioned earlier, who is a puppet that Merrick uses as a catalyst so he can play Slifer the Sky Dragon, the next Egyptian god card we see, who Yugi beats and wins that gets his first Egyptian god card from. And then I think after that is when Yugi and Kaiba face off against Loomis and Umbra. Yeah, Loomis and Umbra. I think that's the next duel. And they absolutely wipe the floor with them because they're the best duelists in the series. I think after that is when stuff happens, but I'll kind of get to that next as I go to Joey, who faces off against, first one being Esperoba, the only new duelist that is like a regular guy that we see in this series. Who is cheating with having like brothers looking at people's cards and cheating that way. Joey wipes the floor with him and gets his Jinzo card, which is one of my favorite cards of the series. He goes on to face Weevil Underwood, who again tries to fuck around with some cheating shit and gets his ass whooped by Joey in a luck-based kind of strategies. We see a lot of new cards from Joey, such as fucking Rocket Warrior, Swordsman Landstar, who I misspoke with earlier, Graceful and Skull Dice, more luck cards. There's that Spider Roulette, Reflection Master, something like that, the mirror thing that he used in the Esperoba duel.
Well, that was Esperoba.
Things like that. Either way, doesn't matter. And then he goes on to face Mako Tsunami. So you're kind of seeing a pattern here where he's facing a lot of the foes that Yugi faced in Duelist Kingdom. And so you kind of see that growth from him. And he gets a lot of cool cards, but he gets Insect Queen from Evil, and he gets 2 cards from Mako, but only really ever uses the one. So I don't know, because the other one was a ritual card. He didn't give him the ritual spell to summon it, so oh well. And then some fuckery happens, and Joey and Taya get kidnapped and mind controlled by Merrick, which leads us to the kind of the pivotal part of nearing the end of season 2, where Yugi faces off against Joey. They're chained to an anchor. Joey is mind controlled by Merrick. He's got a lot of cheating cards in his deck, and Yugi has to face him alone in a big battle format. They have some back and forth. Joey fights off the mind control after Yugi goes, "Aren't we friends? We're friends, right? Here's my cool friendship card that you're supposed to be winning against and everything." And Joey wins. The gangs, like Joey, I think they both win. I think they tie, and they both get anchored. They get out of it. Serenity comes because Tristan's trying to in the anime. Tristan's trying to bang Serenity. Duke's also trying to bang Serenity. They take her to Battle City. They run into My Valentine, who is already like the best in the tournament, obviously because it's Mai. They run into her. They all go to find Yugi and Joey and everyone. They all meet up. We find out, the operation was a success, and she can see again. Saves Joey and Yugi, and then they go off to the finals because they got all their cards, because it's not star chips this time, it's locator cards.
Yep.
Everyone goes to the Battle City Blimp, as we like to, I'm sure, call it, and we have the finalists in Yugi, Joey, Kaiba, Mai, fucking Odeon, Merrick. Odeon, who is acting as Merrick, who is acting as under an alias who I think is called Namu.
Yep.
And he kind of runs into the gang earlier to kind of establish that character. So he's kind of like playing an innocent part in the whole thing. Then there is a mysterious cloaked woman who comes at the end, who we know is a Shizu, but she doesn't say anything, and she has her own agenda here. And then finally, Bakura, who, decides, well, you haven't seen me in a while, and also I got my ring back because, I have to still be the bad guy. Kills Bones and his goons and gets all the locator cards and comes on board.
Conveniently, he killed them in a cemetery, so you don't have to go far to deal with the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, like the Gravekeeper will just pick him up and just throw him in a ditch. It'll be fine. The lines are, all the lots are drawn. Yugi faces off against evil Bakura. Beats him with Slifer the Sky Dragon after Bakura does some fuckery. Because, Bakura is one of those spirit duelists who has a lot of fuckery in his deck. Then I believe the next one is Joey versus Odeon, who they believe is Merrick. That's a big, we learn a lot about Odeon's backstory of being the adopted son of these grave keepers or tomb keepers in Merrick and Ishizu's family, the Ishtar family. Merrick and Ishizu's dad does not accept Odeon as their son. Odeon tries so hard to be in the family. Merrick is the chosen one, gets all scarified with ancient Egyptian scripture. Odeon does the same. It kind of wards off an evil spirit that seems to be lurking in Merrick that kills their dad. And we learn that kind of Odeon is kind of the last line of defense for Merrick going full evil. And as Joey faces off and almost loses to Odeon, Odeon plays a counterfeit version of the third Egyptian god card, Winged Dragon of Ra. Doesn't work because don't fucking copy God. And Odeon gets struck down. And also almost Joey does too, but he toughs it out a little more. Odeon's in a coma. Merrick becomes full evil and becomes a deranged motherfucker. If you remember the Dracula flow lyrics, we decided to connect with them. And goes on to face My Valentine in one of Phoenix's worst days ever. When Mai tries to outwit Merrick and does a pretty decent job at it, gets Winged Dragon of Ra, and you realize, oh no, she can't use it because she's not millenniumly gifted. Merrick does the thing, kills her, tortures her because God, women can't get a break in this fucking show. Then wins and moves on. After that, Kaiba goes against Ishizu. Ishizu thinks her Millennium Necklace that predicts the future and everything, because obviously these Millennium items all have a different purpose. The Millennium Rod is what Merrick has, and he can mind control people with that. Ishizu has the Millennium Necklace, or Tolkien, the whatever, and she tries to think she can beat Kaiba, but Kaiba changes destiny and beats her. So now our finalists are Joey, Yugi, Kaiba, and Merrick. And we go on to the next round until some fuckery happens and we have to move on to season 3, but we'll kind of we'll talk about our thoughts now. This is going to be a long episode if you guys don't already understand, because we're going through 5 seasons and we're going to sum up 50 episodes. I like Battle City. I'm just a big Battle City fan. I loved all these duels. I actually don't think I hate any one of these duels that are in this arc.
There's one duel in this arc I hate.
Well, okay, that isn't filler.
Oh, yeah, and otherwise, yeah, it's perfect. No complaints.
Yeah, because you're talking about the John Claude whatever
Van
guy.
Damme,
Magnum Dong.
Yep.
Yeah, that shit was awful. That is easily the worst part of the series, but thankfully it's filler. You don't handle it. The early duels are really cool. I like Joey's motivation for the tournament. I think Yugi's motivation is pretty standard and isn't crazy, but it the duels he has are really, really cool and it makes up for it. That strings duel is still easily one of my favorite duels of the series. The semifinals happening, the Yugi beating Bakura with Slifer and kind of having that struggle of how can I wield all this power and not feel like it's gonna ruin me. Kaiba breaking Destiny was really cool. Mai losing was not cool at all. Not cool at all. Very shitty, very bad. And then Joey kind of facing off against someone of some real strength and holding his own. And yeah, he kind of won by luck again in a way, but it's still a really fun duel, and kind of getting a lot of that backstory with Odeon and understanding the Ishtar family really makes the story kind of hit a little harder, and you kind of understand the motivations and care about Merrick a little more, or care to learn about what happens to him. It's pretty fun. It only sucks because it gets stopped immediately by some bullshit. What do you think?
I love what they did with this, where they split the focus on what Joey and Yugi were dueling, making them sort of deuteragonists, but for deuteragonists in the sense of they're both progressing the plot with their actions, but for completely different reasons. Yugi trying to gather the Egyptian god cards and deal with all the ancient Egypt stuff, whereas Joey is doing it to truly prove himself as a true duelist and show how far he's actually come by, standing on his own and working through the challenges that we already saw Yugi overcome in Duelist Kingdom. I like that they gave Kaiba the connection as the introduction to the Egypt stuff, for using him and his resources to set the stage for what's going on, and also getting to show off the ego of Seto Kaiba, which is always fun to watch. Merrick's a super cool antagonist. I like what they did with the deception of Odeon pretending to be him. Ishizu, she's fun. I like her.
Yeah, just a standardly fun character.
And Bakura showing up at the end to remind us, hey, motherfuckers, I'm still here.
Hey, he kind of does that a lot through the entire arc, even to the end.
Blah, I'm Bakura, I'm here.
Blah, blah, I'm here. Yeah, just to kind of jump on top of that, the whole, this is kind of where everything with the Millennium stuff really gets going, and they start kind of really, hitting its stride with it. Introducing a group of characters that has that connection, and also is kind of some motivation for Merrick to, be the bad guy, because he feels resentful to Atem, because he's the Tomb Keeper, and he's, forced to hide in the tombs for a majority of his life. So he's like, fuck that, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm gonna kill Atem and be the pharaoh, and I'll do what I want. All very cool stuff. And I like that, it might seem a little hokey, but I do kind of like the twist of there being an even more deranged Merrick, and Merrick, there is a good Eric in him who was maybe misguided and influenced by this really dark spirit. And also just, I think it's a good change of pace to show how deranged he was. I know it was at the expense of Mai, but I think that makes it even more kind of interesting. I don't know. It's all really fun though. I genuinely, even looking back on it, there's really nothing about this arc that I really kind of felt dragged. I still think about this part of the arc fondly, and it shames me to really think that it got so stuck in the anime by crap, which I guess if you want to just quickly go over top of it, we could just quickly just rip it to shreds.
Yeah.
You want to go into the Noah arc?
Yeah, Season 3 starts off with a complete momentum breaker in the Noah arc, also known as Virtual World 2 Electric Boopadoo, wherein, while on the way to the Battle City Finals, the blimp that they're on is taken over and redirected to a secret underwater submarine-based facility thing. Everyone is pulled into a virtual world, a la the Virtual World arc that we briefly went over. That was all 3 episodes, except instead of being polite and making this 3 episodes, they make an entire half season, wherein a new character in the form of Noah is introduced. I'm going to not pretend that order of operations matters for this, because it really doesn't.
No.
Noah is the secret brother that Kaiba didn't know that he had, secret stepbrother, although he's not the step because Kaiba's the one who got adopted. We learned more about Kaiba and Mokuba's past. They were orphans. They were adopted by an evil businessman. I could just say businessman. I don't have to say evil. The word's already in the businessman. You understand it. A warmongering, profiteering businessman, Gozaburo Kaiba, who was taunted by Seto Kaiba into a game of chess. He lost. As a result, he had to adopt both the Kaiba brothers. He did this. We find out that part of the real reason he did it was because his real son Noah had been in an accident and his mind was put into the Matrix, but he had the potential for a real body, so Kaiba was supposed to be that. Except before that could happen, Kaiba ousted Gozaburo from the company, and so Gozaburo, in his mania from being out-businessed by a teenager, put his brain into the Matrix. So this whole thing is a secret double-cross surprise villain thing. Also, the Big Five are also here working for Noah. I don't think they knew Gozaburo was here.
I think they did, actually. I think they were aware.
I don't think they ever mentioned
I don't know, actually.
Because they always, defer to Noah, and Noah didn't know that Gozaburo was around.
I thought I guess not. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Anyway, we're in a virtual world. We have some dueling. We get some stuff with other characters doing a little bit of stuff. Yugi faces off against one of the big five and defeats him. Joey gets his own one and faces him. Taya takes on one and defeats him. Duke, Tristan, and Serenity all duel against one of them, and Tristan loses, but the other two manage to defeat the guy. Kaiba beats his own one. There's a whole thing where the big five want to get out of the virtual world, and their plan is to defeat the protagonists and take their bodies if they win. So Tristan's the only one who loses a body, but the big five can't all leave in one body, I guess. So they try to take on Yugi and Joey at the same time for a winner-take-all thing. They predictably lose. Noah shows up. He wants his ultimate revenge, believing that Kaiba was replacing him, and he wants to get out using Kaiba's body, as was Gozaburo's original plan. He tries to use Mokuba as a human shield. It works because Kaiba won't hurt his brother. He turns Kaiba and Mokuba into stone after being disgusted at their brotherly bond. He duels Yugi afterwards. Yugi defeats him. Noah says that he will free them, but he's actually planning to get out using Mokuba's body now. Although, after talking to Mokuba's saying, like, yeah, I bet Seto could make you a real body so you could come join us in the real world. Noah's heart grew 3 sizes that day. Gozaburo shows up and he's like, hey, motherfuckers, you didn't know I existed, but I'm the real bad guy, man. And he tries to duel Kaiba using Exodia. He's like, I know you lost to Exodia before. And Kaiba's like, dude, that was like 3 years ago. Move on. And
get over it.
Yeah, Kaiba gets the win. Gozaburo turns into a giant fire demon.
Yeah, it just goes off the rails.
Yeah. While everyone's in the virtual world, Merrick is fucking around because he didn't get digitized and is blasting robots and breaking computers and stuff because, he's bored. He's stimming.
It's absolutely my favorite part of the entire arc.
You got to have enrichment for your indoor cats. Otherwise, they'll go crazy and destructive. Everyone manages to get out. Gozaburo's like, all right, well, I'm just going to blow up everything. And Noah's like, I'll hold him back, and fuses himself with the digital fire demon body of Gozaburo. They get on the blimp. They hit the turbo boosters. They get out. There's a giant fireball. It looks like Gozaburo's demon face. They get away. We never have to think about any of this ever again.
Lord Jesus Christ, yes. Let's just quickly talk about these thoughts real quick, and then we can move on to the actual good stuff of this season. This sucked. This fucking sucked. I think easily my worst arc of the entire series, in my opinion. Everything I will say, like I've said a lot during the season and the series, the idea of looking into Kaiba's backstory, kind of exploring Gozaburo, having a surprise step or real child that wants revenge and whatever. All of that on paper sounds really good, but they execute so fucking poorly that it just becomes the biggest slop ever. The idea, the heart in the right place of hey, let's include all the other ones who don't normally duel was good. In parts, the Taya duel was actually one of my favorite duels of the arc. That was actually very fun and a breath of fresh air because she was actually really fun to watch duel, except for the fact that the penguin was really pervy. So that kind of sucked. The Duke, Serenity, Tristan duel absolutely sucked. Tristan deserved to be in that whatever radioactive lava goo, whatever.
Oh yeah, Tristan got put into a monkey body for a bit, like a little robot monkey.
Yeah, it sucked. Just nothing about this arc made me I still look very at this arc with a lot of disdain, and I wish it never happened, and I wish we just kind of moved on to the good stuff, but I understand why they did it. Yeah, easily the worst arc of the series.
Yeah, going off what you said, the enjoyable parts of this are the little bits that are a Kaiba backstory, getting to see the bond between him and Mokuba.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is either somewhere between nothing or an absolute fucking bummer. Yeah, duels are happening, but because this just interrupts the flow of the Battle City arc and dealing with Merrick is just such a buzzkill.
Especially because Merrick's getting really interesting now, so it's it's picking up. So and that's why it's
yeah, Merrick has just been unleashed. He's gone evil. He took down a previous bad guy. And it's hey, now we're gonna look at other shit.
It's it's why the stuff where Merrick's just fucking around is my favorite. Cause they literally just kind of held him in a cage. And now he's well, I just gotta do something here. One thing I just want to add before we move on is filler Joey strikes again in this arc, and easily one of my least favorite Joey duels, and it makes me so mad how sometimes the filler just makes Joey the most idiotic character in existence. But we can talk more about that when we talk about the characters.
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to keep going?
Yeah, I'll keep going.
Since it's season 3? Okay.
Yes. Season 3 gets back on track as we move on to the finals of Battle City Tournament. They arrive at Alcatraz Island, which was a former base of operations for Gozaburo and his stuff. There is a 4-way duel between Yugi, Merrick, Kaiba, and Joey, wherein they all do some flexing at each other, dueling to determine the actual orders of the finals. I think the real winner of this is Joey for how he is able to manipulate the other duelist into getting the outcome that he ultimately wants.
For sure.
Playing off of Kaiba's ego and knowing what he wants, manipulating Merrick's underestimation of him, making sure that Atem knows to take him seriously in this and not try to protect him. And so with the order ultimately being determined by Joey's actions, I think he was the standout of this. And he will continue to be a standout in his duel in the future. But before that, the match that happens next is Kaiba versus Yugi/Atem, wherein they duel at the top of the duel tower. It is holographically projected to look like a coliseum. We get to see them facing off against each other as Kaiba wants to regain his status as best duelist in the world. We also get to see the clash of their two Egyptian gods, Obelisk and Slifer. There's Blue Eyes, there's Dark Magicians, there's Red Eyes, there's cool fusion monsters, and the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon and the Dark Paladin flying all around at each other. It's great. Ultimately, Yugi wins, because of course he does. The show is named after him. But their clash with the Egyptian gods also shows a scene of ancient Egypt that both of them see, wherein they see Egypt has been ravaged and the Egyptian gods are all shattered and in pieces around. There's a dark entity that has overtaken the land, but they can't really dwell on that as they are brought back to the present. But this sort of shakes Kaiba a bit and makes Yugi a little apprehensive or nervous about what went on in his life in the past. And then we get to Joey versus Merrick. Joey wanting to take Merrick on to get revenge for what Merrick did to Mai, and also to sort of like carry the torch of responsibility and dealing with Merrick that Odeon had, I think, a little bit, with Joey and Odeon having a bit of a bond as both being older brothers.
Also, I think like he felt like he could like take on, like he wanted to take that burden off Atem and Yugi too.
Yeah, him also like thinking that if he can do this for Yugi in his place, then it can help his friend and also like really prove himself, because the thing that happened at the start of Battle City was Joey and Yugi talking and saying like, meet me at the finals when we're both true duelists, and that's when they'll like be equals to each other, which is what Joey wants out of this whole thing. They have a really cool duel. Joey makes Merrick shit his pants when he doesn't get the win, but ultimately Joey does lose the duel on account of him going unconscious after being immolated by Ra for real.
That man took a fucking fire blast to the face from a god and almost won.
They put a lot of budget into showing us Joey set on fire.
It was actually easily one of the best moments of the series.
Yep. And then we move on to the final of the Battle City final, finally, which is Yugi Atem versus Merrick. It's cool. You get to see Yugi using all the Egyptian gods. He uses a special card that Kaiba gave him that Kaiba said would be the only way to defeat Merrick, and Yugi putting his trust in Kaiba and using it properly, despite not having been told the proper way to use it to stop Ra. It's cool. They're able to make it a shadow game, with they were wagering their normal halves, little Yugi and normal Merrick being put on the line. A clever play and show of will by normal Merrick to switch places with evil Merrick, resulting in his dark half being destroyed at the end of it. It's cool.
Yeah, it is. It's fun. Now it's Yugi has all the god cards, and he has his destinies being fulfilled.
Kaiba also decides to hit the self-destruct button on the way out and says, all right, losers, if you don't have to go home, you can't stay here.
He's like, I'm destroying my past. Also, you guys have to go. I'm doing it now.
Yeah, there's...
He's so fucking deranged.
Yeah, there's some made-up stakes about them having to get off the island before it blows. They take a helicopter that had come to help with Odeon, who was recovering from being lightning bolted by a god. The Kaiba brothers get out in the Blue Eyes White Jet. Everyone makes the grand escape. Bakura also comes back from non-existence after having been shadowed by
because
Merrick
kills him.
And then we find him in the kitchen, as we normally do, because Bakura is a hunky boy who is often taken by the shadows.
His evil half makes him burn a lot of calories.
Yeah. Maya is also restored. Everyone makes it back to Domino City. There are some heartfelt goodbyes with everyone parting ways. Maya going off to do her own thing. Duke says he's going back to America. Kaiba brothers went off to make Kaiba Land, the amusement park that they had talked about making when they were younger. And the final scene that we see is the beginning of an early morning duel between Joey and Yugi / Pharaoh, Atem, which we do not actually see take place.
Which is, yeah, sucks. But it's, you know what? Now we're going to go fulfill Atem's destiny, right? And we're not going to be stopped by anything else, right?
Well, are we going to be stopped by talking about this little half of the season?
No, we're going to talk about that first.
It's cool as shit. Everything in this rules.
So, yeah, that's it. In like so many words, that is the truth. It's hard to kind of think about anything I hate about this arc, because it's all done so well. It's especially, I think it's even highlighted even more, but despite the fact it is like following horrendous shit, in the Noah arc. So it's like even more cooler to have that happen. The Joey versus Merrick duel is easily another one of my favorite duels in the series. Kaiba and Yugi is just absolutely iconic. It's like kind of on the same level of like the rematch with Goku versus Vegeta. I think people talk about that all the time. There's a little filler duel with Joey versus Kaiba that was kind of neat. I actually like that even though it was filler. And then Merrick and Atem going at it against each other in the final battle. I don't know if it's my favorite final duel, but like it is a very fun one. At least I think just Atem fighting just deranged evil in a person is just interesting in a lot of ways. But I don't know, it's so good. I can't say any like more positive things about it than that.
Yeah. All that stuff, Joey trying and doing really well, and were it not for the physical trauma, would have gotten the dub. Really, I think that this, more than Atem or Kaiba, showed off Joey's growth. Yes.
I think with Yugi and Kaiba, it's like expected that they do as well as they do. With Joey, this is one of the reasons why Joey is my favorite character, or one of my favorite characters of the series, is he is kind of that underdog character. He is kind of someone who wants to be on the level of Seto, Kaiba, and Yugi Moto, but sometimes is like still working his best to get there. So you kind of root for him. You want him to win. You want him to be that kind of guy. And so in a moment like this where he's, facing off against the evil bad guy, and a very powerful one at that, and holding his own to a point where he almost won, that's very good for Joey. I think it's his final duel of the series in the manga, though.
Yeah, it is.
So that kind of sucks.
Took off of what you had said. Like, Joey is not like the chosen one. He's not some destined figure. He doesn't have resources. He is, like you said, the underdog. So we're rooting for him, and seeing how close he got made it all the more impactful. Speaking of things that don't have impact, you want to talk about season 4?
Yeah, I'll go over. I'm gonna just try and get through these last two seasons really quickly, since I'll get through this one. We will just try and get through these last two really quick. Do you even want to go over the season 5, or is that still too soon?
I mean, we can do it quickly. It's not that much to break down.
No, we'll just kind of half and half do it. So season 4, complete filler season, our first full season of filler. Just to kind of quickly go over it, basically, a guy named Darts is 1 billion years old. I think they say 10,000 years old, so it's stronger than Etem. Basically interrupts Etem as he tries to do the whole find his memories again ritual. Basically makes the Egyptian god cards useless, steals the Egyptian god cards so he can power his great Leviathan, so he can bring back Atlantis and pure the world of this evil that they say he has. And he has a really cool card to do it in the Seal of Orichalcos, which I hope you don't hate hearing about that card, because it's used so much in the thing. Basically, there's a duel. The first duel that happens is just kind of introduce the Seal of Orichalcos and show that Etem and Yugi are going against a stronger force than the Millennium People now, just so there could be stakes in the season and justify it. Each of our special duelist friends gets not only a special bad guy antagonist that they go against all season, they also get a cool new super awesome dragon card that has a special effect depending on what card they are. I think Critias is like spell cards. No, not Critias. Fang Critias is trap cards. I think Heramos which is Joey's card, is magic cards. I think Tamias is monster cards. I think that's like the whole gimmick of it. I could be wrong.
No, you're right. They all fuse with one of those things to make a thing.
They're cool cards. Not like super special cards, but they all have like interesting backstory. You find out duel monsters have like their own like realm, and they are real things that happen. Basically, the duelists all dueled their bad guy once. Kind of differently for Joey, but basically like Kaiba duels a guy who wants to seek revenge against Kaiba Corp. Joey faced off against My Valentine, who becomes bad for some reason in it, and we can talk about the good or bad of that as we go on. But also they will later duel Valen, who also has the hots for Mai and wants to protect her, but also, wants to kill Joey. And then Yugi faces off against the big one named Raphael, and Raphael beats Etem and almost steals his soul because Etem gets tricked into using the Seal of Orichalcos and becoming like a super bad guy uncharacteristically. Not even like in the characteristics of like what he was like in the early days of Yu-Gi-Oh!, which might have made a little more sense. But he's just uncharacteristically just angry and mad. And shuns Yugi until he loses from Raphael. And then Yugi like sacrifices himself and gets his soul taken, because that's what the Seal of Orichalcos does, if you forget. And Etem has to kind of like soul search. He does soul search. It's all good. The three bad guys fight the three good guys again. And the bad guys all lose and realize the error of their ways. Kaiba and Yugi are enlisted by the U.S. Army because for some reason they were involved at the end there, to go against Darts and stop the world, which are like, shit, we were already going to do that anyway, but now I guess hopefully we'll get military benefits for it. They go to Darts' secret lair. Darts has a lot of broken cards that try to, break the game. Yugi is also like, hey, I am Plot Armor Man, who also has big cards that play the game. Also, Pegasus is involved in this, where he gets his shit fucked up, but he gives Yugi a card, and that card saves the day. All the souls are saved, but then Darts becomes big bad Leviathan guy. They fight a lot and save the day. Yay. And then Darts realizes the error of his ways. I think he passes on with all his Atlantis friends and family. And then we just kind of, we just did that. That was it. It was all good. It was done. It was a series.
Yeah. It happened.
So to actually kind of be serious about it, I didn't hate this series, or I didn't hate this arc. I thought I was really gonna hate this arc, just because I'm like skeptical on filler. But I had a generally there were some slow episodes for sure, but I genuinely enjoyed a lot of the duels. The Joey versus Valen duel was really fun. I think we had a big
we had a big turn on
that one.
Like Valen like hating him at the start, and then like actually getting him, be like, actually this guy kind of rules.
Raphael's a pretty decent antagonist. I think like maybe with a little like trimming or like kind of like editing of the backstory, you could have actually been a really compelling character, but he was pretty compelling enough. Alistair, being Kaiba's bad guy, was ghosts from Kaiba's past or Gozaburo's past coming to haunt Kaiba because Gozaburo's dead.
And that goes back to what we had said before about the Kaiba brothers backstory stuff. Should have been like its own thing, not interjecting, which Alistair could have fit into, but we didn't get it, sadly.
No, it kind of got fucked up. Darts is probably one of the weaker villains of the series. I don't really care much about him, and I really don't. He's
kind of got weaker motivation than his goon squad does.
And that's the real problem, isn't it? Like, he's just so doesn't have anything compelling to him. He's just bad because he got influenced by the Orichalcos, and then he just got worse with it, and so the Orichalcos made him more powerful, but didn't really give him much more of a personality. So it's kind of like I think back at Darts, I kind of go, cool character design. Like, sure, he's not the worst, but like he's definitely like forgettable in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
What do you think?
All the stuff that you had said, I interjected my bits here and there because I don't really think there's that much more to talk about with the arc.
Nah.
It's not even like other, like the
pretty-
Noah arc at least like had cards that were being played that were like coming out at the time. I don't think this really had that. Valen and Alistair's cards like don't exist. The legendary
No.
dragons didn't exist for a long time either. The Seal of Orichalcos was also didn't come out for a bit later. It doesn't do nearly as much as it did in the show, so it wasn't even like a commercial of an arc. It was just there to be filler.
Yeah, you couldn't steal your opponent's souls in it. It was really stupid. I was so mad when I went to locals.
Yeah. Damn shame. I was looking to air out the whole building.
Yeah, right? What made it look stinky? Ooh, just kidding. Or am I?
Stinky.
But yeah, that's season 4. Did you have anything? Sorry. Do you actually have anything else? I just kind of interjected for you.
The character and assassination of my Valentine, I will never forgive them for.
Okay, yeah, that's also a good thing. I also don't understand why they did that. I guess it makes sense if you're trying to make some sort of compelling character for her, but like,
But they did.
I think she was fine the way she was, and it kind of failed on it. So nah,
Yeah.
pretty bad. So are you gonna do? You want to do Grand Prix or like the Grand Championship, and you're gonna do Millennium World?
Yeah, unless you wanted one. I know you're a big fan
You
of the
can do it.
Grand Prix.
I mean, I could just cover that real quick. I just sum it up in 2 words.
Blame
It
Germany.
sucked.
Oh, you and I took that different place.
No, no.
I can do
Don't
the
blame
Quebecois
Germany.
Grand Prix real quick.
Sure, just go real quick.
They
It's
went to-
really so bad.
Yeah, the gang went to America to deal with the Orichalcos stuff in season 4 in order to get back because they didn't get return trip tickets. Kaiba says he'll get them back if Yugi agrees to take place in his tournament for the grand opening of Kaiba Land. A bunch of duelists are called in from all over the world, most of them racial stereotypes who we never actually see duel. There's also 2 characters, Leon and Siegfried. We find out that they're actually secret brothers this whole time. Siegfried has a grudge against
Secret
Kaiba
brothers.
because he got the contract to make the virtual dueling system instead of his company. He tries to sabotage Kaiba Corp. It doesn't work. He's stopped in a duel. Everyone goes home friends, I guess.
Yeah, it was nothing. This is really nothing. There's nothing here. I don't really know what to talk about with it. It just really didn't do anything. The duels, actually, these are probably some of the most uninteresting duels of the entire series.
Yeah.
Doesn't really do anything.
A
No one's
positive I
heart was
can say about it
involved.
is we covered it in 3 of our episodes.
Yeah, we covered it really quickly, and I'm pretty proud of that. We actually got everything out like right quickly, so
Yeah.
that was nice. And then, but we all know this was just to stall so they can do everything that we're going to cover here.
Yes, as we went into the true final season, which was Millennium World. Having dealt with all the filler stuff, Yugi takes the Egyptian god cards to the ancient tablets, which had been taken back to Egypt at this point. The whole gang flies out to Egypt. The Ishizus take them to the tablets. He presents the cards before them, enters the world of his memories from 3,000 or 5,000 years ago, depending on your version. And he gets to relive events from that time of when Thief King Bakura waged his war against the pharaoh for the atrocities that were done to his village. This is also when modern-day Bakura shows himself. He does some stuff to get Kaiba to also go to Egypt. He uses a piece of himself that was hidden in the Millennium Puzzle to go to Millennium World with the pharaoh when he does, and tries to influence events. The whole thing was revealed to be a secret shadow game, wherein the Pharaoh and Bakura are game masters controlling different sides, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
The Friendship Squad also enters the Millennium World. Shadi is also there for a bit. He's fun. Love to see Shadi.
Or Babasa.
Or Babasa, although we don't like what they did to our poor boy.
No, we do not.
We get
But
to
we're
see
getting
the,
that.
Yeah, we get to see the world of the ancient past, wherein Thief King Bakura, the ancient self of Bakura, was attempting to get revenge for the massacring of his village at the hands of one of the priests of the previous pharaoh, which is how the Millennium items were created. The evil entity Zork was also created as a result of this dark act, which then possessed/became Bakura and wanted revenge and to plunge the world into eternal darkness. A lot of stuff happens, but at the same time, not a lot really happens. It's pretty simple. Pharaoh tries to find out his real name in this past, although no one will say his name because they're all a bunch of goddamn rude people who don't know how to answer a simple question. What is my fucking name? Oh, you're the Pharaoh. No, like what was I called when I was born? Small boy.
What's my first name?
The
little guy. That's what I called you, little guy.
First name the, last name Pharaoh. Mr. Pharaoh is my father. Call me the.
Akdam Nanan, or however you say it.
Yeah, Aknam Kamanen.
Yeah, thank you.
There's some stuff with the previous life of Seto Kaiba, having been close friends with the Pharaoh, and his dad being a war criminal who just loved murder.
And also cousins.
And also they were cousins.
Yeah, there's a big reveal there.
Yeah. The Pharaoh's true name is discovered by his friendship squad when they were in the Millennium World. They have the dual showdowns of the ancient Pharaoh fighting off against Zork with the help of the forces of Egypt, while Yugi does a duel against Bakura, showing his own personal growth throughout all these times that's been happening kind of in the background, sometimes up front, and showing that he can in fact stand on his own. Bakura is defeated on two fronts. The Pharaoh learns his true name as Atem. Zork is defeated in this Millennium World, which makes sure that Zork does not take place or gain power in the modern world. And the Millennium Ring is finally purged of Bakura. Kaiba is also there for some fucking reason.
Anime only.
Anime only. Then we have the true final duel of the series, wherein in order to open the door to the afterlife so the Pharaoh can finally take his proper place with the rest of the people he lived with in his time, there must be a final showdown between himself and one who is his equal, and the person who is chosen / chooses to do this is Yugi himself. There's a spectacular duel between the two of them where we get to see all of the skills and tricks that they have learned brought against each other.
Yeah, they lay it all on the table.
Yeah, they duel their hearts out. Yugi's smaller heart out. Kind of him being a little boy. Never forget that.
A little lad.
Yugi ends up defeating Atem, beating all of the Egyptian gods, beating the Dark Magician, the Pharaoh's closest ally, who was a priest from his past life who had chosen to, or made a vow to serve him forever and became the Dark Magician. That's slightly more relevant than anything else that happened in Millennium World.
True.
And at the end of it, after Yugi has won, the Pharaoh says goodbye to all of his friends. They all vow to never forget each other. And he goes on to the afterlife where he was always meant to be. The Millennium items are reclaimed by the Earth. And everyone has to find their own fucking way home because we're in the goddamn desert.
Yeah, they just stay in the desert and are like, oh well.
The most important thing I will note about this is that in the manga, Kaiba is not there to see the Pharaoh's final duel against Yugi, but he is in the anime.
Which is important for what we'll have to cover next time, but that's next time. Do you want to start with your overall thoughts of that whole season or like that whole arc? Or
yeah, I can do that. I did gloss over a lot of what happens because, in my opinion, Millennium World did not need to take as many episodes as it did. A lot of it is characters just moving around from place to place, information being restated. Even the final events of the battle versus Zork, like in the anime, Zork being defeated is the last that happens in Millennium World, but in the mangas, you had told me was actually ancient priest Seto's father being defeated was like the last thing that happens.
Yeah, so it's like, I guess this is where I'll kind of start about like what are my feelings about the Millennium War arc as far as everything's concerned. Or it's Dawn of the Duelist, the anime. The anime kind of fucks it up for no reason, but not really fucks it up in like necessarily bad ways because everything ultimately goes to the same place. But I think how they set things up and are like laying things out in the manga works a lot better than it does in the anime. But yes, the whole like, so you mentioned Akhenaten being possessed by Zork. He gets kind of like shafted during the battle and kind of like comes up as like kind of like a lingering evil. I don't know if Takahashi just forgot to like put that spiritual battle in there or what, or he felt like that could have been like, that needs to be the final battle because Yugi and Kaiba, but like, Yeah, they kind of just like make things go out of order for no reason. It was very frustrating to follow along and also read the manga for, especially after being like out season and a half out of that vibe.
I completely forgot to mention Kasara.
Oh yeah, there was the blue eyes white bitch.
Yeah, for some reason there's a white woman in ancient Egypt who was the blue eyes white dragon, or it was her soul, and she had a connection to ancient priest Seto, who becomes modern day Seto through reincarnation or just familial line, which is why Kaiba has such a connection to the blue eyes white dragon. There, I saved you like 8 episodes.
Yeah, like Kaiba's there in the anime for some reason because I feel like they need to include him, which I don't really understand why, but it is what it is. Just a lot of creative choices made during the Millennium War arc that I don't understand, because I feel like reading the manga was more of a delight than this was. It felt a lot like it was paced weird. That being said, the Yugi versus Bakura duel is another favorite duel of mine, and Atem versus Yugi, no notes, just easily like I think a fantastic final send off for the Atem character, a final kind of like, for the time, a goodbye for our gang. And it felt like, we talk about, or people talk about like not sticking the manga endings clearly enough for one reason or another, deadlines of committing to a deadline, whatever have you. This, like, even if they didn't do Dark Side Dimensions, I would have been satisfied with this ending and not needed more. Dark Side Dimensions is a nice little extra part of it, and we'll obviously go into that, but there's no better way to end it than Yugi and Atem dueling, and they did such a good job on it. I can't really like say, but like give it more praise than it is.
Yeah, the final duel is the best part of this and fleshed out. It happened in what, 4 or 5 episodes?
Yeah, it was well done, well paced, like easily one of the best duels of the series. And, sorry, I just wanted to add, anime adds some stuff in between that I think, like, the whole, like, attempt summing all 3 Egyptian god cards wasn't done in the manga, and it was, I found the anime duel a lot more engaging and interesting than I did the manga duel, but it doesn't really, like, both are, like, some of my, like, they're both fantastic in my opinion.
Yeah, it is peak Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is a great way to have ended off the series.
So yeah, we just gave an overview of the last 51 plus episodes minus the silly off special episodes here. I know this was really long, so thank you guys for bearing with us. I hope if you've stuck around this long to just hear us kind of overview what we've been talking about for quite many episodes. And now we'll kind of just quickly go into, we want to do just kind of like who are our favorite characters and why, and then maybe who are our least favorite characters and why.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable enough. We want to do like, well, let's not set a number to it. Let's just do whatever we feel.
Yeah, I don't have like too many like favorite and not favorite characters, so like it'll be quick for me.
Yeah, I'll start us off with probably a favorite for you and I both being Joey.
Yep.
Like we had talked about, Joey being the underdog, getting the most personal growth as a duelist from being someone who absolutely sucked at it to being great at it, and seeing him go from, struggle, like losing to Taya and every duel they had in classroom, to being someone who, for all intents and the way things should have gone, should have been the one who defeated Merrick, were it not for him being knocked unconscious.
Yeah, exactly. It's very admirable. I think Joey's the most relatable character in the entire series, because like he's just kind of the everyday guy, and he's not the one, like, the show talks a lot about destiny and talks a lot about like these people are meant to do these powerful things and everything, and then Joey just kind of is there, and not in a bad way is there. He's there to show that like there is really good people in the present day who don't need a millennium item and don't need some sort of ancient Egyptian past to prove that you can be a good duelist, and it is about like friendship and trusting yourself and having the confidence in the heart of cards. Like, he is the more of the amalgamation of that than Yugi is, even though Yugi's the one who preaches it more than Joey does.
Yeah.
I love Joey. I really can't say like the only time I hate Joey is when he's in filler. For the most part. Other than that Yugi and Joey duel, that's easily actually one of the best filler parts of the entire series.
Do you want to talk about the character we hate?
I guess I could. Yeah, I guess we could just go into that next. Tristan sucks.
Yeah, I know I talked about Joey. I'll just cover my thoughts on Tristan real quick. I've seen Tristan, like, his role in the show be described as, like, the person who explains to the audience something that's going on in the duel. But I don't think that's necessarily true because, for the most part, like, except for, like, 2 exceptions, like, Yugi or Joey are the ones who are dueling, and if one of them is and the other isn't. So for someone to explain something that's happening in the duel, the other person of those 2 that's not is there to explain it. Also, this isn't a problem that exists when Kaiba's dueling, and there are even times when Tristan's not around during a duel. So, like, that being his role doesn't make sense. It's also established in the show he doesn't know how to duel well. He's not good at it.
No, they don't, even when they try to force the duel, they even make him suck at it. It's genuinely just like, I don't know. I'll rant when you're done ranting.
Yeah, another person, like, having the 4th person does help round out the friendship group. But I think that Tristan's role as that could have just as easily been filled by Duke or even Bakura for, you know, someone who's, like, actually, like, involved or cares about, like, dueling or games for that sake. And for the most part, Tristan's character is, like, non-existent. We got a bit of a personality in season 0 with him being, like, caring about, like, cleanliness and all that, and that being a little bit. But he doesn't really have anything that's really, like, an enjoyable character trait for most of it, other than him being, like, especially because he's just like, hey, I can't wait to hook up with Joey's sister for a season or 2, and, like, that's just really annoying.
Yeah, so you guys have heard me rant about Tristan for how many years and jokingly give him just, like, little side shots and whatever else. So to kind of really kind of dig into my feelings about this character, how I feel about him. I just find him to be one of the most useless characters in the entire show. There is no backstory to him. You don't have any motivations with him. He isn't very good at dueling. His main motivation has been only in the anime is he's, like, pining for Joey's sister, like, more than unacceptable lengths. Doesn't have any. He's always critical to Joey. And it makes me so mad because he literally couldn't do anything better and probably would be stuck before, like, much before Joey would even be, like, stuck. There's nothing fun about him. There's nothing enjoyable about him. I like you said, he could be replaced with Duke or Bakura and nothing would change. It would be more interesting to have Bakura there, and Bakura is a lot of the times there more than not in the manga. So, and he plays a very significant role in that regard. Nothing about Tristan stands out. Nothing about Tristan makes me want to keep, like, enjoying him. If they completely took him out of the series, I would not. No one would miss him. No one. Absolutely no one. All right, that's all. How I'm done talking about Tristan Taylor for the rest of Yu-Gi-Oh series ever.
Yep. Character I'm saying about is My Valentine. Loved her from the moment she showed up. Loved the character development she went through of not wanting to. Of someone who had thought that they were better off alone, but then having been exposed to friendship and seeing how much the other people enjoyed it and enjoying it herself, and that whole thing she went through, which was unfortunately a little bit of bad trick on that in Duelist Kingdom, or not Duelist Kingdom, in Battle City, when she went up against Merrick, not wanting everyone else to show up, believing that she would be better off on her own and feeling separate from the group, and so self-isolation, which is, like, real and is believable. And then after having that whole arc, it being undone by what happened in Steel for Calco's arc, which is then just hand brushed aside when she finally grew past that because she got taken out off screen by Raphael.
Yay. You see her a couple times at the end of the season, but, like, it's nothing really, like,
yeah, she gets cameo appearances after that.
Yeah, it is what it is. I do like Micah Valentine too. She's someone I think my only complaint about her, besides the fact that the filler kind of kills her character, is I wanted more of her. I don't mean that, hopefully I don't mean that very off-putting, but, like, I think she did have a very interesting character, and exploring that more in a canonical sense and actually kind of divulging into an interesting character like her would have been really fun. And I think it's a wasted opportunity.
I don't remember if it was in our recordings or in just talks between us, but I think you had mentioned at one point that you thought it would have been neat if your idea for the Kaiba brothers getting their own arc about their backstory to deal with the Big Five and Noah, having Mai be a part of that. Because in the original Virtual World arc, Mai made an appearance as someone who had been like an outside hire to like look at the game. So that being a way to get her involved. And so that could have been a way for her to have more of her own screen time. So I really liked your idea for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess if it's in the recording somewhere, someone will find it. But yeah, that was something I wanted to do. It's like you're already exploring characters in a filler arc. You now have the space to kind of have character development. Why not put someone who kind of desperately needs that backstory, like growth, to have it? Oh, she's in a coma. Sorry. Yeah, it sucks. I really wish there was more to like. I wish I could see more for character, but that's where the priorities lied, and it is what it is. Unfortunately, but we can't always get what we want. I'll go into someone I like. So I'm actually a big fan of Seto Kaiba. I can't get enough of that deranged fucker. For all the reasons that we've always stated over the years. That man commits to a card game more seriously than a greedy stockbroker on Wall Street commits to stocks. Love that man. Love his deranged energy. Love the lengths he'll go to try and have a duel with Yugi. And we can capitalize on that in the next episode because that just is peak deranged Kaiba. Great, was a very interesting beginning villain or antagonist. Like to see his growth. I really enjoy his like brotherly bond with Mokuba. I think that's a very interesting part of his character, and it shows that like he may be standoffish and like kind of cocky and maybe a little narcissistic, but he has a heart and he is fighting for something always, and it shows that like Yugi's philosophy still is correct even if he doesn't do it in the way that Yugi or Joey do it.
Teenage CEO and well-known mumbo jumbo denier Seto Kaiba.
And Blue Eyes White Jet driver or flyer.
Yep. Designer of jets that look like card game dragons.
And kind of like getting the whole pre-Seto stuff was really a good cherry on top too. And like, I think helped make the character stick a lot more.
Yeah. Love seeing Kaiba. Kind of wish Mokuba got a bit more as them often being a package deal. But Kaiba is really the driving personality between the two. Yeah,
I don't know how much you can do with a young child like that, but I guess the creative person was figured out. I think just when we say we wish this stuff, we understand that like there's only so much they can put in and so much they can like do. But yeah, I wish they maybe prioritize some of that time with these other things.
As far as the antagonists go, just a quick rank, like not even just a ranking. I think the three main ones are all great in their own ways. Merrick going from someone who has absolutely justifiable motivations to the unhinged side after
sick fuck
Odeon. Pegasus just chewing up scenes with his over-the-top reactions and his funny little toon monsters. Bakura having been the evil that was there the entire time, coming to fruition. All great stuff.
Very like a very balanced. It's like Pegasus is the one kind of end of the villain where he's like very campy and cartoony, but also a little deranged. Then you have Merrick, who's like kind of played a little more seriously, even when before he's like deranged, and then he becomes significantly deranged. Then you have people like Noah, Darts, Siegfried, and it's like whatever with them. Well, so just to honestly go back to protagonists for a second, I want to just kind of touch on another favorite of mine, which is not necessarily Etem, but Yugi. I love Yugi. I love that little shrimp. I love watching his growth. I think it's so important that like I think one of the biggest wasted opportunities of the anime is not giving Yugi enough time to kind of grow and show that he can stand on his own 2 feet too. They do it sometimes. I don't think they do it significantly as much as they do it in the manga. I don't think it's character assassination. It all kind of works out in the end, especially because I love the final duel, especially how they do it in the anime. Nothing but just my flowers for my young boy Yugi. I relate to I relate to that character. I love that character. And I'm so glad he got the happy ending he deserved by the end. But that's kind of all I have on protagonists. And I gave my thoughts on antagonists. Any characters you hate? Or I guess whatever you're gonna say.
I just want to also comment on normal Bakura being the person who in this battle shonen anime is living in a horror manga.
Yeah, that's very true. Like he kind of is like Takahashi's like remainder of like, well, we'll keep this horror manga, but I'll be so subtle about it. You have to actually think about the fact that like some people are like that.
Yeah, the occasional moments where when he's alone and he can, like, much like the Green Goblin, feels the Millennium Ring spirit calling out to him, being like, I'm gonna do evil shit with your body. And him just, like, running through, like, at the, like, when the Millennium World arc, like, him, like, running through the city trying to, like, get away from the spirit. Very good stuff.
Yeah, it's like Bakura is a like subtly compelling character, and it sucks because I think he deserves more screen time than Tristan does, and Tristan got way more of it. Wow, I said I was done talking about Tristan. Here I am still. I guess that's true hater energy. I'm trying to think if there's any characters I didn't like. Weevil and Rex were kind of annoying, but that's kind of the purpose of them, so it's like I don't really not like that. I really don't think there's many characters that I really disliked that weren't like just pure filler characters.
Yeah, even the characters who just have bit parts did them all very well.
That's kind of why I think I get so like mad about like filler and everything, because like even the little things in the canonical manga and like the canonical anime series, they just nail so well. And then you just kind of have like these, they don't hit those little things well in the fillers, and I think it brings detriment to their characters. I guess that is what it is.
Sag.
It's a show that came out years ago.
And be insane about it, we will.
I don't know. I think is there any other characters you want to talk about? I'm trying. I think I'm good.
Yeah, I think I'm set too. Covered good guys, bad guys. There are no other type of guys because this is anime.
It's like it's a shonen anime, so it's got to be pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Shit. So I think we're done. I think we did it. 2
we
hours.
have talked about Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters.
So we're done. Almost done with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series proper. We will do the epilogue of this OG series in talking about Dark Side Dimension next episode, and then gonna have kind of a break. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put out the bloopers maybe in like 2 parts. We'll see what it looks like. And then I'm going to post all the episodes that I'm behind on YouTube, and that'll be kind of where I post things for the time being. It'll be all the old episodes, kind of just to catch up everything. And then we will, I don't know how long the break's going to be. It'll maybe be like a month or so. But then we'll start Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Phoenix's favorite series.
So looking forward to. You thought I was a
of
problem when I talked about My Valentine? Oh, buddy, I am not ready to shut up about GX. I love Jaden. I love Heroes. I can be so normal about you, Belle. You don't even know I'm not on any weird lists about it.
I'm very excited to talk about GX too, because you and I think this was the series we bonded over more than even like the regular Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. So I think this will be kind of like candy for us a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm excited too. I'm excited to kind of revisit this series, and I'm excited to kind of like look at it in a new perspective and see what kind of change. I wanted to somehow include the manga but it's so different. We can't do it like we did it with this, but we'll find a way to add it on.
Yeah, I'm certain we'll find a way to talk about the GX manga.
Just so I want to read it, just because I'm so curious about it, because I know it's so different. I think apparently it's so Takahashi, like I think not was like a writer on it, but he was definitely like someone who kind of gave the mangaka who did it advice. I think he was one of the assistants for Yu-Gi-Oh, so that's why they kind of did it that way. But we'll talk more about that when we start that next series. But for now, we'll do Dark Side Dimension, have a little break, do some blooper episodes, maybe do something else in between there, or like I'll try and keep the social media kind of posting up just so we can kind of make sure you guys know we're still alive. And then we'll get into our next series, and it'll be probably much shorter than this series, but it'll still be fun. I'm very excited for it.
It's gonna be great.
We're gonna get our game on. That being said, socials, or do you just want to kind of we did it, right?
Yeah, we did it.
You've heard our socials for the last 52 episodes. You know what they are. Let's just kind of
look
call
for
it
like I'm Phoenix Fars. He's Papa Art.
Somewhere,
find us at places.
Kuribros on the social medias. Signing off, my name's Andy.
I'm Phoenix.
Giddy up and get your game on!
Chaz it up.